Have you ever wondered why dating as a man feels like traversing through a labyrinth without a map? Imagine standing at the entrance of a colossal maze, armed with nothing but your wit and charm. This gentleman is a metaphor for the enigma that is dating as a man. The labyrinthine world of dating, with its twists, turns, and dead ends, can often leave men feeling lost and bewildered. It's not just about finding the right person, it's also about navigating the complex web of social expectations and gender roles that come with it. Now, let's take a minute to consider the societal pressures men often face. Picture yourself as a tightrope walker, stepping cautiously on a thin line. On one side, there's the age-old expectation of being the strong, silent type, the stoic knight in shining armor. On the other, there's the modern-day call for emotional openness and vulnerability. It's a precarious balancing act that can feel like a dizzying walk on a high wire. Moreover, there's the pressure to make the first move, to be the initiator. It's like being the first to step onto a dance floor, not knowing if you'll lead with grace or stumble over your own feet. This societal norm, while slowly changing, still largely falls on men's shoulders, adding an extra layer of complexity to the dating labyrinth. Then there's the financial aspect. It's like being an actor on a stage, expected to play the part of the generous provider, regardless of your own financial standing. And let's not forget the emotional dilemma, the challenge of expressing feelings in a society that often equates masculinity with emotional stoicism. So, the labyrinth of dating is indeed intricate and multifaceted for men. It's a journey filled with societal expectations, pressures, and paradoxes. But don't lose heart, gentlemen. Dating can also be an exciting adventure, a chance to discover not just someone else, but also yourself. So buckle up as we delve into the world of dating from a man's perspective. Remember the time you saw someone you liked but were expected to make the first move? It's a tale as old as time, isn't it? You're at a social gathering, and across the room, you spot someone. Your heart skips a beat. You're drawn to them like a moth to a flame, and then the weight of expectation descends. Let's take a stroll down memory lane. Picture a young man named Jack. He's at a party and there's this girl, let's call her Jill. Jack is smitten. He thinks Jill is the most beautiful girl he's ever seen. But here's the catch. He's expected to make the first move. The pressure is on and it's palpable. Jack is a man of few words. He prefers listening to talking, observing to acting. But in this scenario, his usual approach won't cut it. He's expected to express his interest, to initiate contact. It's a daunting task. His heart is pounding, his palms are sweaty. He's straddling the line between fear and excitement. The fear of rejection looms large. What if Jill doesn't feel the same way? What if she laughs or worse, ignores him? It's a gamble, a roll of the dice. It's anxiety-inducing, nerve-wracking, and yet he's expected to take the plunge, to brave the unknown. This expectation, this pressure to make the first move, it's a burden many men bear, it's a societal norm, a tradition, but it's also a source of immense stress and anxiety. It's like walking a tightrope, where one misstep could lead to a fall. But here's the thing, Jack, like many men, faces this hurdle with courage. He takes a deep breath, musters up his courage, and approaches Jill. He stumbles over his words, but he manages to express his interest. And then he waits. The ball is in Jill's court now. The fear of rejection can be daunting, but it's a hurdle many men face in their dating journey. It's a rite of passage, a test of mettle. But remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to face it head on. And that, my friends, is the essence of making the first move. Ever been on a date where you automatically reached for your wallet when the check came? Well, you're not alone. Many men, regardless of their age or cultural background, experience this same reflex. It's an ingrained societal expectation that's been passed down through generations, and it's rooted in the historical roles of men as providers. Let's imagine a scenario. Picture a young man named Tom. He's been dating a wonderful woman named Sarah, and they've been on a few dates. The check arrives at the end of each date, and without fail, Tom's hand instinctively reaches for his wallet. He doesn't mind paying, but the expectation that he should do so every time begins to weigh on him. It's not that he can't afford it, but the unspoken assumption that it's his responsibility creates a certain pressure. This expectation for men to foot the bill originated from a time when women didn't have the financial independence they enjoy today. Men were the breadwinners and women were often reliant on them to cover expenses. But as we've moved into the 21st century, women have gained financial independence and the societal norms have begun to shift. Today, the question of who pays on a date is the subject of much debate. Some argue that the person who initiates the date should pick up the tab. Others suggest splitting the bill to maintain a sense of equality. And then there are those who still hold on to the traditional belief that men should always pay. Regardless of where you stand on this debate, it's clear that the financial expectations placed on men can create a certain amount of pressure. It brings into play questions of equality, power dynamics, and the changing roles of men and women in society. But it's important to remember that every dating scenario is unique, and what works for one couple may not work for another. Open communication about expectations can alleviate some of this pressure. The expectation to foot the bill is slowly changing, but it's still a pressure point for many men. Remember feeling like you had to keep your emotions in check on a date, even when things weren't going well? This brings us to the heart of the matter, the emotional dilemma. There's this unspoken rule, a societal expectation, that men must remain emotionally stoic, even in the face of disappointment or heartbreak. Let me illustrate this with a personal story. Years ago, I went on a date with someone I was genuinely interested in. We had great conversations leading up to the date, and I was hopeful. But when we met, it was clear she wasn't as engaged. I felt a sinking feeling, but I swallowed it down, kept the smile up, and soldiered on. After all, men aren't supposed to show vulnerability, right? This is a common experience for many men. We're taught from a young age to suppress our emotions, to keep our feelings under tight control. It's a heavy mask to wear and it can be exhausting. But here's the thing. This emotional stoicism can be a hindrance when it comes to establishing genuine connections. It can stifle communication and prevent us from expressing our true selves. How can one build a meaningful relationship if they're not allowed to show their feelings? How can we understand one another if we're not open about what we're experiencing? The truth is we can't. This emotional dilemma can be a significant roadblock in dating. It's like trying to navigate a maze blindfolded. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and it can be downright disheartening. The time has come to challenge these societal norms. Men should be allowed to express their feelings without fear of judgment or rejection. It's okay to feel disappointed, to feel hurt, to feel elated or nervous. These emotions are part of the human experience, and they shouldn't be suppressed or hidden away. In the dating world, authenticity is key. It's about being true to who you are and expressing your feelings openly. It's about breaking down the barriers that prevent us from connecting with others on a deeper level. The struggle to express emotions openly is a silent battle many men fight in their dating lives. It's time we change the narrative and create a space where everyone can express their emotions freely and without judgment. So, dating as a man can feel like navigating an obstacle course, can't it? We've walked through the enigma of dating, a world that seems to be a labyrinth more than a straight path. We've underscored the pressure to make the first move, a task that can feel like a high-stakes game of chess, where one wrong move can topple the game. It's a pressure that's often underestimated, yet it carries a significant weight on a man's shoulders. Then we delved into the financial expectations, a topic that can feel like a minefield. The societal norms and expectations that come with being the provider can be overwhelming. It's not just about picking up the check on the first date, but also about the unspoken assumption that a man should be financially secure or, at the very least, on the path to financial stability. This expectation can add an extra layer of stress to the already complex task of dating. We also discussed the emotional dilemma, an often overlooked aspect of dating as a man. Society tends to place a premium on stoicism in men, which can make it challenging to express feelings and emotions in a dating context. This emotional tightrope can add another layer of complexity to the dating equation. But why are we talking about all of this? Well, understanding these challenges can lead to more empathy and better communication in dating. It's not about painting a bleak picture of dating as a man, but rather highlighting the unique hurdles men face. By bringing these issues to light, we can foster a greater understanding and empathy, paving the way for healthier and more fulfilling relationships. So yes, dating as a man can be akin to navigating an obstacle course. It can be tough, complex, and at times downright exhausting. But remember, awareness is the first step towards change. While dating as a man can be tough, understanding these challenges is the first step towards making it a little less daunting.